Batter and batter, bitter and witter, batter and all that crack.
Yeah, sweet.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with a fantastic guest, an absolute character, the man, the myth, Gearoid Kavanagh.
Thanks very much. Nice introduction there. The man, the myth. I like it. If I could become more of a myth, that's what I'd love. If I could have like stories that like precede me, that like.
There's definitely stories that already precede you.
I know, yeah, but I could build up loads of them. People question: is it true? Is it not true? Could it be true?
You got the Yeti, Loch Ness, and Gearoid. You know what I mean?
I hear like so many stories about Prince. Have you heard these stories
about Prince? No, I've heard like the kind of celebrity stories that come out. I wouldn't hear any background stories or something like that.
Yeah, there's like one where they're like recording at 6 a.m. and they say they hear the doorbell going off and they're like recording late at night and they're like, who's at the door? They're like, Prince who? And they're like, Prince, motherfucking Prince. And he's like, what? And they're like, oh, bring him down. So he comes down and he's like two red-headed ladies with him. And they're like, he takes off his gloves and he shakes his hands and he's apparently like the softest hands in the world. And then they're like chatting away, it's like good banter, and they're like, could we take a picture with you? And he's like, oh no, I don't do that. So they like sneakily take a picture of him. But when they look at the picture, he's like 2 feet off the ground. And then they're like, and they're going around like showing everyone like, is he? Yeah, it looks like he's floating. Yeah, it does. And he said like 10 minutes later, the photo just deletes itself.
Yeah.
And it's just gone. And everyone's just like, so there's like those kind of stories just make me laugh because I'm like, I love the fact that, probably not true at all, but I love the fact that I believe it to be, could be true, you know, just kind of like that.
So that's the sort of mythical stories you want left behind. I was at a bar one day and there was a pint and the pint was floating.
Yeah.
It floated towards a gentleman in the corner and then it just vanished.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sure, even coming from Dingle, everyone asks me, like, when I tell them the dolphin about fungi, and everyone's like, it's not real, though, is it? It's like, it fucking is, like.
There was a big, a mystery about fucking fungi last year, where he went missing, or people thought he was dead or something.
When he went missing, yeah. So what I've heard is, because I used to do tours, he's basically paid for my drama school. Like, it was the weirdest experience ever, because I was like, I got into drama school, and I was like, oh yes, this is great. I was like, and even that day I knew I was going to get into that drama school. It was really weird. But then I was like, oh fuck, how am I going to afford this at all? And then I got the job at the fungi boats and I'd made more money than I've ever made, ever. But like, and like telling people like that's basically how I made enough money to pay for drama school. But anyone who I tell, like, they're like, oh, it can't be real. But it was the same dolphin 100% because he had a little like a V-shaped nick on his dorsal fin. And that's how you like identify porpoises and animals like that. But I think what the story is, how he left, I think what I heard anyway is that, well, number one, dolphins aren't territorial and they're social creatures. And he was on his own in the same place. So he was doing everything against the book. But I think he went out, what they reckon, to die, like it went out like 100 miles. That's what the story goes anyway, I think.
And how long were you doing that? Like, was there much money in that sort of stuff?
There's serious money going in that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was making 800 a week, I'd say.
That's serious.
I was making bank. I was like, me and Richie Reardon, who is an absolute legend from like Dublin, and he has all these mad stories. He owns the Rainbow Hostel. So he was like kind of like a hippie but fisherman. So he's this really strange character, mix of the old like tough Ireland, but also so open-minded and well-versed and traveling the world. He's seen like original Beckett plays performed and all this. So I had this like man kind of almost like father figure kind of like showing me the ropes of the boats, and he was just completely ripping the piss all the time, didn't give a flying F about anything. Come up behind me like I was like spacing out one day and I was just like looking at the dolphin. He's like, comes up over my shoulder and he's like, he's sending us cyber messages from space. And I was just like, what the hell, Richie, man? I was like, I didn't know what was going on there. Just like, look up so close behind me. I was like, what?
So where are you now? You are in London.
I'm in Greenwich now.
You're in Greenwich now, yeah. And how long have you been over there? 'Cause you're originally from Kerry, aren't you?
Yeah, Dingle, County Kerry is where I'm from originally. I moved over here, I suppose, 5 years ago, and I've been chopping and changing locations. And now this is the first place I've kind of like the last 2 or 3 years I've settled in here. I'm like, it's right next to the river and stuff like that.
It's felt like home, nearly.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
a home feeling. Yeah, I remember. Like, how did you find? At what point did you find you were settling in where you kind of felt like even going home was like you're leaving home to go home? It's like every couple of like the first few months I remember I was there and I was like, okay, there's something different here. And then I think after about a year I was like, here I am. Like this is where I live now. Like this is it. You know. At what point did you find that happening?
You settled in right fast, so did you?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Like I flew through. Like I came over. I used to go over to England every year, like and twice every year. I was born in Nottingham, so I was over with family and stuff.
Robin Hood.
Yeah. So I just baiting it across the whole time, and I don't know. I think it was more just getting used to London rather than the English culture because I already had a grasp of that, and then once I got a grasp of London, it was. I think I found what I liked best about it, and I just latched onto that, and then the whole city just opened up for me.
Yeah, that's kind of that's the thing. I think so. I did drama school for a year over here, and I was just like that completely changed everything like about me personally. It's kind of like opening up to who I wanted to be and who I kind of was.
Yeah,
and I felt like I was definitely trapped emotionally. And then after drama school, I was like, oh whoa, I can feel my emotions and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's going out into like zone 1 Covent Garden pub, and everyone just started shitting on me. You know, just like and I'm just like, oh god, I've never been so open, and this is so painful. And I was like, it was awful. I got a rash all over my body. I was no. So I went from this like high of like discovering who I was, and then crashing down into the harsh reality of London. So it took me about actually living in London, I'd say 2 or 3 years to kind of come back to some kind of stability after that. And I'd say that, yeah, when I got the job in the vaults, I think is when
that really got grasp. You were in the kind of the culture you wanted to be in.
That's
like around that. Because you came from, correct me if I'm wrong, but you came from Ga. Was it? Do you play Ga?
I played Gaelic football for about until I was 23. Yeah,
and you were decent, aren't you?
It was.
You're decent. Right. Don't be humbling now. You're decent. I know.
Well, like I suppose the highlight was we won a county championship at West Kerry. I was like, when I thought I was going to do something, I like tore my hamstring. And that was like the day my heart fell out of it when I was like 18, like captain of the minor team. I'd say that was like when I was. And then when I was doing the best I have ever done, I was like making the Celtic senior team, like wing back all the time. And then I was just something like in my head just switched. I was like, I quit. And they were like, what the hell? But it was more due to the fact that I was like changing everything. I was going to acting and stuff. I had a big football background and stuff like that. All right.
And what made you grasp football? Or what made you grasp? What made you grasp the change? Like, well, why the sudden change? Like, did that happen?
There's a lot of changes. All right. It was like, well, I'd say the big one was, so I was playing football from like my grandfather played with Kerry and all that, and all my cousins are good footballers and stuff, and so it was kind of like natural to fall into that. And because I was good, it was like, all right, stick with that. But there was always an artistic side, I suppose, that was totally underdeveloped and stuff like that. And then I did environmental science in UL, and it was drinking and playing football and just going on the raz, and then everything just came to a head. And I just fell into a massive depression at 19. I was just like completely like numb, like no sensations. I remember like there was like the only time I was like, oh, this would be, I started to get a feeling back was when I was working in Ocean Road at the time, and the alarms went off, and I got like panicked, and I was like, oh my God, I can feel something. And it kind of just went away again after that. And I was like, I went through like the doctors and stuff like that. So that really kind of like opened up my mind to like, I suppose like trying to deal with that for so long. And I was just like, there was a vibe in the football culture that just wasn't, it was, I don't know, I suppose it was an old school Ireland, and it was kind of pushing me out of there, and trying to deal with all that kind of coming to, and then I was like so depressed. I was like, I've always thought I'd love acting, so I might as well try. It couldn't get any worse anyway.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there was one night, a crazy night out, where we had loads of drink and someone had some tabs of acid, and it just kind of, I was like, I think I'm gonna do some acting. It completely like changed like my perception of what life was, and my life was about, kind of.
So all revelations happened over a tab of acid, and that was it.
That was like, yeah,
Revelations, the revelations.
Just went from like that to just completely segueing into something completely different. And
did you go, when you went first to London, you went to college for the year, did you go to East 15? Or yeah.
I did the MA there for a year, and that was a great course, because like for me anyway, because it was just so like just try everything, experience, experiment, see what your process is. And then they did the method acting in the woods, which is just a completely bizarre experience. That was like one of the things that just really opened up to transformations. And like, so you basically go into the woods for a week, and they give you a character, and we were studying the year 1649, which is like the English Revolution. And then, so you're from sunrise to sunset, you're in character, and then you come back and you're out of character, and you can't talk about the game. They call it like a game. And then next morning you wake up and you put on your clothes, sun rises again, and you go back into character. And I was like a farming village, and I was like, there's just the whole experience is really trippy as well, because it was like, the more you use your imagination, you go with it, and you lend yourself to believe that you are these things, and you put on these characteristics. And at the start I thought it was like bullshit, and I was like,
for the first couple of minutes,
first day I was like, I'm just bullshitting, I'm a terrible actor. And then I was like, well, I might as well just go with this feeling of bullshitting and see where that leads. And then I was like, just these experiences even in there were kind of strange. Like, as I was like, I kept telling him, oh, I'm going to like I feel like I need to change, need to go somewhere. And he was like, wait a while, I think something's going to happen. And I kept saying that, and then this other crowd came in, and then became a spiritual leader and leading these people around the woods and stuff. And then it was like, because I was thinking that I was going so much with this character that I thought I was this character.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of like, your imaginations runs amok because you're in nature for so long. And then it's all of a sudden it's just like, I thought it was it, but it's just how it took a week to come. Like, they bring you back into normality by like just painting and stuff like that, and like really ease you back into like normal life again, because you spent so long trying to, you're basically just shaping all your habits, all who you are towards this character. And because I thought that's what kind of what I wanted to be in myself, it's just like, oh, I am this character, and it's like, oh no, you've just put on this. And it was a real like psychological like breakdown of who I was versus how I became this character. And then coming back to myself going, oh, I do all these things. And it's just a real deep psychotherapy in the woods, kind of like.
And did you find it easy coming back out of it?
I had an easier time, because people found it. The one thing was that it is so trippy. It's like, it was the trippiest experience with absolutely no drugs, no nothing. It was like complete, like your imagination runs amok. Like, there was one experience where I was like, I had a vision, and I was like in the game, like when I was playing, and I saw this cloud coming over a village, and I was going to say, oh, we should dance now because we may not get a chance later. And I said I wouldn't say it because it was a bad premonition and all this. And then about 2 hours later in the game, all these people started dying, and like, as in, like, I know there's no way of me logically knowing that was going to happen. And then the teacher started saying to other, like in the game, he started saying, oh, you're sick. So all these people started dying around me, and I was like, have I just prophesized this in my mind? My face went numb. I just didn't know what to do. Eventually I told the teacher in the evening. He was like, I saw you freaking out a little bit, being like, what? And I told him what happened. He was like, that's nuts. Like, there's experiences like that, and other people had like don't know. I suppose you'd kind of, I think going into the woods for that long and going with something and using your imagination really breaks you open to like a lot of potential in terms of like how the mind works and everything like that, and how
Yeah.
your own mind is. And then coming back, it was super surreal because people were like, "Oh, don't look in the mirror," because it's basically like coming down off acid or some drug like that.
Yeah.
But I love that kind of those kind of experiences. So I was like, "This is gas."
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, like yeah, you would have had those experiences as well. The others probably didn't. You would have
Yeah,
had
no, like,
that kind of self-confidence and where like, okay, I'm in a safe space where I am, where the other people is still are trying to grasp what the fuck is actually after happening to me. Like,
yeah, and it just definitely broke down a lot of habits that I had in myself, and I think a lot of people went through that kind of like of, say, a big one was like people pleasing and trying to like shrink myself down to try and make everyone else feel comfortable. And I was like, well, that's not actually helping anyone really. It's only shrinking. Don't know, there's that poem it's our darkness, not our light, that most frightens us. Our shrinking does not allow other people to shine. It's our light that allows other people to shine unconsciously. And I was like, okay. It's like all that kind of what cage I was putting myself in. And it was just like realizing all that kind of things.
that's actually, that trait alone is a big, I suppose it's an Irish and I suppose English trait as well, isn't it? That kind of people pleasing sort of self-deprecating kind of vibe with yourself to please others or make other people feel at ease around you, and that sort of way, rather than lifting them. Because I know the Americans are more fucking like a different fucking cage altogether. But I do know like the self-deprecating, especially like I suppose probably not in the south of London or the south of England, but definitely I know like in
Northern
like
England,
the more northern England that kind of have that grasp with the same kind of Celtic vibe where they are more self-deprecating. And like, it's a little way saying, I suppose it's a bit of crack and it eases the tension in a room or it breaks the ice. That's where it all kind of stems from.
Yeah. I think, yeah. And I think, yeah, I suppose like what you're saying culturally as well, I think, yeah, it's just going into like, even going deep into Irish history and like stuff like that now is like so interesting. And there was a really good documentary called Ian Curtis Can't Get You Out of My Head. And it's like basically how the psychology of the countries is still, from old times, is still coming in true. So that's what I've started getting interested in now, in like the Irish history and stuff like that, and how that's probably shaping even like more of what we are or I am growing up in these kind of areas and stuff like that. And
yeah, no, I feel that yeah, absolutely. That's that kind of cultural, like obviously the Irish, they tend to kind of harness or they kind of hold this kind of old rhetoric past that they try and push forward at the moment, whilst also trying to live it in a futuristic way. Like you're kind of pulling and pushing at the same time. You're in a tangle at yourself, like.
Yeah, because like you definitely got into like what I was like really impressed when I saw your play is that how you were so on the ball with that whole homelessness issue and the housing crisis, which was when did I see that play? That was in 20.
Jesus, in London. Was it in London? You said
I saw it in the Vault. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so London. That would have been the last time I performed. That would have been 2018.
Okay, jeez.
No, sorry, no, early 2019. Like the first month, it was January 2019. Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, because that's like becoming an even bigger issue now, isn't it? At the moment.
Oh, it's fucking chaotic, man. It's absolutely chaotic, and like everyone there, like it's the same over there. It's just it's not highlighted enough. Like it's the numbers, like the numbers per capita. Obviously, the numbers in England are bigger, but the way they work it is the numbers per capita. So the numbers per capita in Ireland, like it's a massive amount of people that are homeless in Ireland. And then the amount of people in England, it's a very substantial amount of people that are homeless in England as well. Like, and they don't help themselves. Like they're trying to build fucking hotels and like they're blocking houses and social housing. There's idle houses lying around, and then they bump up the price to try and sell it off. Like there's places going and like it's not even city centre Dublin. There's places outside of Dublin that are like £500,000. And like yourself in London, you get a place in London for £500,000, and that's like around not far from fucking.
Sure, even in Dingle as well, prices of houses are like £500,000 as well.
Like £500,000. Like, that number's getting thrown around like £500,000. Like when do it's like saying to yourself, like, oh, don't worry, kid, at some point in your life, you're going to be a millionaire. You're going to make over a couple of million. That's just, it's fucking shite. Like, like,
that's why I'm going moving into the grandmother's house. It's like my father wanted a knock, and I was like, I live in that. Do me fine. It has 4 walls. It's old school. It has all these old vibes in it. I'm loving it. Like, it's like when my great grandfather was in there, he still believed in the fairies and the Pishogun and all that. And so I was like, I feel that the energy in the house.
The Pishogun, what's that?
Oh, and the Pishogs, like it's like you'd have old like fairy tales, but it was kind of different. Like, as in the Pishogs would be like Pishog is like like don't cross the path of a black cat in the morning, or a red haired lady,
yeah.
Or the like the ring forts, and then all the stories that go with that. And like I was started reading up mad stories about that as well. So I was asking my father about them. And there's ones that say, like, I don't know, it's on about like if you're crossing a white thorn tree at night, that some of them would put like shit on themselves so that the fairies wouldn't come and take them and stuff like this. Or my great grandfather saw a fairy funeral, but he jumped into a ditch so he wouldn't get them to take it, like, because if you get caught watching it, they'll take you away. And he said he saw it from the ditch and stuff like this. But it's like they're mad old stories. But I think, like, I suppose the connection with the nature and stuff like that much is like still present.
Yeah.
Especially back where I'm from anyway, but probably in lots of places of Ireland anyway.
I know more so out in the West. I hear a lot of the stories now. Again, the stories I hear from fucking kind of this side of it now, more where I'm from. It's more old rhetoric of Celtic warriors and stuff like that, and the kind of like Newgrange, all those sort of like the sun, and it's never gone as far as like fairies and stuff like that. Cause we never had that over here.
I'd have stories like even recently. So there was about 5-6 years ago, I'd say, there was a neighbor, and he was trying to dig a ring fort, and is like, you're not supposed to do that at all. And his tractor capsized, and he broke his arm, and then he left it alone after that. And everyone's like, we don't believe it, but that did happen, like, you know.
Yeah, you know,
like, my friend was saying, because he's a whiskey distiller, and they had a white thorn tree out the back, which was very close to the well, and they were digging a load of trees out, and they were like, so white thorn is supposed to be where all the fairies kind of, that's their tree that they hang around. And he said, oh, I'll leave that white thorn tree there. And Brock was like, none of them want to say it. And he was like, I'd say I'd leave the white thorn, that'd be fine. And he accidentally dug up the roots, and he said for 3 weeks all the water stopped. Like, it stopped. Like, I think it either got mucky or it stopped, and because the tree had died. And then he replanted the white thorn tree there, and this, like, about a couple of days later after he planted it, the water started to clean again, and it's, I don't know, it's just like those kind of, like, again, mythical stories where I'm like, I don't know, I like to think there's something that we can't understand.
Yeah, we can't. To be honest, that's something I do like myself. Like, I have that same kind of vibe with religion. That, like, I personally probably, I'm not really religious, but I do hope that there's something beyond just this. Lads,
I think there is. Yeah, I definitely believe there is. I just think, like, I don't know. The more I think about it, I think probably what I think is that it's like a figure of 8, and then it's like you just keep going around.
Going around.
But there's maybe something like more like reincarnation or some evolution or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Even with, like, when I was studying science, it just gets weirder the deeper you go into sciences, and then the philosophies kind of, I think they kind of come together.
They kind of mesh at some point. Yeah, they do. They kind of graze at one point, and then that's where certain questions are asked, and then certain questions in that just aren't answered at all. They're just diverted. Those answers are. So, like, you're over in London at the moment, and you're planning on. You're working on it. You did, like, how's the lockdown been for you?
Lockdown was amazing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I went through a bad patch at the start, so, like, you know, staying up till 4 a.m, kind of accidentally watching YouTube, and then I kind of like all my old like depression came back and everything. I was like, right, okay, I'm kicking this.
Yeah.
So I started like doing therapy, I started like getting into routine again, started journaling, started microdosing. And it really like that whole like turned a huge corner for me. And then just everything else around that just started kind of blossoming a little bit without even like, I don't know, like started playing the piano, started like writing more music and stuff, like trying to learn how to get better at that. And there's things started opening up. I got the Ros Na Run job. So I've been doing that this year. And then I was like my
That's
own
Ireland,
life.
isn't it? That's
Huh?
show. That's so. What have you flown over to Ireland, or have you been filming in England?
I did a month filming in February, and then I'm going back September until mid-January, maybe March this year, doing another season. And then I'm trying to we're in pre-production, but I don't know if we'll touch wood, get it done. Maybe I'd say an outside chance, August, or else maybe next year, a short film, which I'm trying to like the last piece is trying to put together, but I have a meeting this week to try and see if the director will be like, yeah, that's good enough, because we're into a month ago and I rewrote the whole thing, and then a few other little things that I'm trying to like boil up and see where they go and stuff like that.
That sounds like keeping absolutely fucking really busy, man. That sounds class.
Yeah, it just seems like I don't know, yeah.
How did you find Ross? How did you find working on it?
I think the biggest thing was like coming back to the Irish was just it just blew my mind. Yeah, I think like I've spoken to some people about this and people who speak two languages, because I haven't spoken it, I suppose, properly for about 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
And coming back to it again, it's just people who speak 2 or 3 languages. It just feels like you're going into a different part of your brain or a different port, and you're just become like emotions feel a lot different in Irish. I just remember there was one day I was asking my father like, how would you say like your own, like how would you say you're at peace, like, or like he was like fe sunis, and when I said it, it just felt like there was an umbrella of peace around me for like a few seconds. I was like, that's, I don't know, it just tapped something very like in the core of like what I am and stuff, and I'm like, I just need to get that was like, and that's why I'm so delighted I'm going to go back again, because it'll force me to learn it and get way better at Irish. And
were you a strong Irish speaker beforehand?
I was probably the worst Irish speaker in my family, but
on your family.
yeah. So like I used to get so much crap from like my whole family about it. Like even my father was like, before like the audition, because they were ringing me and I was like, what's going on here? He's like, I was like, I'm going to do an audition there like in like 10 minutes. It's all right if I ring you back? And he's like, for what? I was like, Ros Na Run. He's like, oh, you're Seamus with your Irish. I was like, you shut up and never brush your teeth. They're looking brown, just abusing the blacks off each other. I didn't realize, but his brother had died. Like, so it's really like, I rang him back and I was like, should have known something was up that he was ringing me, but he was fine anyway. Like, but yeah.
That's a story you're always going to have in the bag, anyway.
Yeah.
It
is.
There was one project I did see in, and I was casually watching. Where was I watching? I was actually just in the sitting room one day, and I looked up, and is that Crowd? That's not Crowd, is it? That fucking is. You done the tree advert, was it?
Oh, the tree advert.
Yeah. It's like, I had a big screen and I see it was like the freeze frame of the shot of your face smiling down the phone. I looked up and went, fucking Jesus, what's he doing? How did you find that? That was that shot in Ireland? I presume that was.
That was no, it was shot in Kent, over here.
Oh right.
And it was funny because we went down there. I was called in for like 6 a.m, and then I just like shot like literally like a minute or 2 minute scene of me actually just recording myself on the phone doing little ad-lib bits.
Yeah.
And then I was like thinking, I'll probably be on at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock or something. I was like back up for breakfast at like 7. And then I was like waiting around. So I took a nap. I went down. I said I'd check out the scenes. So I was down there for a while, and the old guy in the scene was doing his bits. And then I went back. I took another nap, ate some more food, went down and checked. I was like taking naps until like 4 in the day, eating food. And I was like 4 o'clock. I was like, I better get up. Like I better do something. Like I can't like stay napping all day. I didn't get to shoot till like 9:30 at night, I think.
Fucking hell. Well, was it light they were looking for? Was it the specific light they were hoping for? Or do you just that's like fucking hell.
It's weird. Every ad I do, it seems like the other person can't like either remember their lines or take
no.
like, it always happens. That happened I was doing an ad over in Ukraine, and this guy just kept like it was almost like Christian Bale meltdown. He was like, someone's phone and talking. He was like, "Could you shut that phone off? I'm trying to work really hard here." He was like, couldn't remember. And I was like, "Oh man."
Adverts must just bring out the fucking best in people. I remember doing doing an audition for a Denny advert years ago.
Oh yeah.
And it was over in London, and I don't know, someone hadn't turned up, or someone was completely late, and I ended up reading for other people. I ended up getting on, like fucking talking to everyone in the room. I was like, "Yeah, Grant, will you? Is there any chances? I have no problem. I'll come in. I'll do it." And I was playing the boy, and the father. Well, I was playing the younger man, and the father was up there. The father just started. The fellow was playing. He just started reading random lines, just his own lines. And then the director says, "Do you have a different script?" No. I just feel the character is saying this. And I looked, and he's 2 lines. Like he literally has 2 lines. And I looked at it, it was just like he was the fucking director was baffled, and I'm sitting there looking up, and it was just one of those moments. What the fuck are you talking about? I muttered it to myself. Like I didn't realize it came out of me. I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I don't know. Jesus Christ, carnage.
Yeah, so I was like at 9:30 at night, and all the like cast and crew were like stressed to the gills, being like, "You need to save this one." I was like, whatever. Like, it was like 2 hours to get all my bits done then.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you working on any shows? I remember the last time you were doing a piece in the vaults. So that last year, 2019.
Yeah, when was it? It was 2020.
2020. Well, last year I remember because I was talking to Scott, and Scott was saying that he was going to it. I think it was after vaults. I would have said late 2019, early 2020 before lockdown.
Yeah, I think we did a scratch then around that time, I think, and then we did another, rewrote it, and then we put it on in the vaults, I think, when COVID kind of just kicked off. So I think it was March 2020. So we started this, the first kind of scratches of it.
Yeah.
2019, yeah, and that went on the vaults then, yeah.
Yeah, how'd that go for you?
Yeah, it went really well. Yeah, it was like just got me way more inspired to do more of my own work, and like feeling like people actually responded really well to it, and were like getting laughs where I was like, yes, it's like, okay, I found some sort of a rhythm with the writing and what kind of works and what people are kind of into, even though it was like definitely very trippy and stuff like that. And I find with my work, it's like I go as far out as possible, but then I have to like edit it and find where in the chaos to like weave a narrative through it.
Yeah.
It becomes very just abstract, and then I have to like pare it down and see where the linear line is to make it kind of a more tangible.
Because I remember looking at the poster, and the poster was like, "This is going to be a fucking show. This is."
Because it was like
two lads in the nip wrapping sheets around each other or something like that. Was
in the mangina, yeah.
The mangina, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, because we were just at a festival, and that was like a good few months before, and we're just like, well, we just use that. And the more we took it, like the less seriously we took the writing process, the marketing, the better it seemed to do. Like,
and it just worked out much better. So if there's any marketing interns out there listening for new tips, that's it. Just fucking go for it. Don't think about it and just go for it.
It's like, even in the application is like, I think the more we just started to take, like, I suppose it was like what we were actually, it was ourselves. It was true to what we are. And I think that was really where it's like, I suppose it took the edge off, where more people are like, I suppose initially we would have been like, oh, what do they want to hear? And we kind of just scrapped all that and we're like, oh, well, this is what we actually want to say. And it just seemed like they responded to that more than what they think you'd want them to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of get in over your head then when you start trying to think about what people want.
Yeah, I guess.
Once you start, you go down a road where you overthink. One or two things hit, like you said with the laughs. Like one or two things go well, and you think, okay, I'm on the right path. I will write because I've gotten that right. I will continue writing the way I think they want it seen, and you kind of go off in this kind of narcissistic vibe of where you know everything about it. You have this kind of inner feeling about it, and then when you show it, certain things just don't hit the way you want it. And if you hold on to it too much, if you hold on to that feeling a little bit too much, you begin questioning the audience rather than yourself and the work. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you much just with the wrong audience, or the audience didn't grasp it, you didn't understand it. Like, I'm like, no, it's just that you're like you kind of in your own head too much, or and that's when it all goes tits.
Yeah.
So you are planning on moving back, or you're not moving back? Or are you moving back?
Well, I'm moving back. Yeah, I'm moving back to Dingle for about 2 months, and then I'm starting a few. There's one writing project that I left off, and I'm going to pick that up again. Going to see where we get with this short film, and I have a few other things that are kind of there, like that I'm kind of tweaking away.
Yeah.
And then try and do a few acting classes in the meantime, learn to sing, and fix up the grandmother's house, and then move up to Galway and do the show, and then try and come straight back over here. That's kind of the big plan, I guess.
It lends itself though, doesn't it? Because you're doing the show for so long over there.
Yeah.
So was it the show that kind of gave you that inkling of coming back home, or was that just a feeling that you've kind of you kind of want to do this now anyway? It's something that you've kind of, because I know a lot of Irish people, once they've been over there a certain amount of time, they kind of get this feeling like, I've done it now, let's go back and see if I can do it back there.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the show, and just I found there was, like, when I came back home, I think there was the community spirit was up. I think because of lockdown, and everyone was like a bit more like getting into music and getting into different kind of creative things, and it's like, oh, there's a lot of potential back here. And I think I'd like to do both London and Ireland, because I think over here I found a nice groove as well. But I think if I could bring stuff back there as well, it's a great place. Just to write and get some headspace and get back with, like, even swimming in the sea and just connected with nature and stuff like that.
Right, that's why one thing I did find back here is that if depending on how or what way you work, or what mood you're in what way you're in the mood to work, like back here can be a very like meditative, relaxing place where you can kind of get shit kind of sorted, and it might take you a little bit while. It might take you a while, but you'll eventually get to a point where that kind of thought process just kind of flows. Where you can kind of see where you're grabbing things and you go, that can work there and that can work there. Meanwhile, in London, you're just going so fast. So if you're in that mindset of like, we're going to go bang, 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 bang. And if you're in that groove, you're in that groove, you're fucking smashing it. But if you're on that kind of jet lag, like on that lag of that, you need to just kind of take back. This is a great place to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. How have you found like Ireland in those terms? Because you moved back, because you were over here.
I went over in 2016. I was there until I was back. Yeah, I was kind of there mainly for the entire year of 2017. I came back then in 2018 for a couple of months. Went back to Ireland to do a job that was going up different places like Scotland and stuff like that. And then I came over to the Vaults in 19 with the Astronaut. And then I came back here. I think after Astronaut, I kind of between producing it and doing all the marketing, and I think I was testing out new work in Dublin at the same time. So I was doing the Scene and Heard, so I was testing it, and I'd done that for 2 years, and I was trying to write a different show, and I was doing the screenplay for Astronaut. I just crashed. After Astronaut and Vaults, I'd done the 2 or 3 rehearsals and a show or 2 in Dublin in February, and then after that I just said, I need to stop everything for a second. I need to kind of regroup my own head and see what way I'm doing things, because if I keep doing this, It's like you're kind of grasping at straws and pissing in the wind. You kind of know the straws you're grasping at, but you don't know where they end up. Do you know? Like, it's just like, it's momentary, but it's not fucking lasting. And I kind of need to kind of regroup and see where I'm at. I got an agent over here in the summer of that year to kind of get myself back into it.
How did you find that agent, or how did you come across?
Yeah, I found I looked online. I knew a couple of people that had agents over here, and I kind of tested the waters. The reason I left here was because I thought, there's a not in a bad way, but in a way, I can't say in a bad way or a good way. There's a bit of a clique over here in this country.
Yeah, I felt that. Yeah,
there is a bit of a clique in this country, and because a lot of the work is concentrated in Dublin, it's even more so of a clique. Do you know? There's like you get like a big job or a medium-sized job, and it goes to damn near the same people the whole time, or similar people are always involved in it. And the audition process is they'll only grab a few extra new people, and they're usually someone that's not even in Ireland. They're like, I remember auditioning for shows that when I was in London, I was auditioning for them in Ireland. You know, I was like, why aren't you I'm sure there's an actor in Ireland that will fucking gladly walk down the road, jump into the room and do it for you. Like, so yeah, I got good auditions over here. When I got the agent, it was some nice auditions. Some auditions where they had names with them, but they weren't really auditions. They were just basically casting calls in my head. Like, they didn't even know. I remember going into, there was this Amazon job, like a TV show, and I was like, this is the character. I was like, oh, grand. And I walked in, and there was about 12 people. None of us looked the same. And I was like, right, they're just throwing it out and seeing what comes back here. All right, give it a shot. So they didn't even see me. I say they glanced at me headshot, but they just seen the name of grand. He's in the right age. So yeah.
That's why I love making, and you make a load of your own work. Yeah. Congratulations on that.
No, thank you.
By the way, man.
I appreciate it. Thanking you.
But like making your own work and that kind of like that buzz. I'm hoping that's a big stepping stone, and if I can get that done and stuff like that, it's just taking back a bit of power. And I don't know about you, but the broadness of RT and stuff like that, and in Dublin, I feel like it caters to
a certain audience.
Yeah,
that does.
Yeah, especially like I know my humor anyway. It's not. I wouldn't see a lot of it on the Irish channels and stuff like that, and a lot of the work I make and want to get into in stories, I kind of want to get into more. Well, I suppose they're kind of all kind of crossbreeds and stuff, but I don't feel like. And maybe it's in my own head. I don't feel like it's the place for me a little bit.
Yeah, no, to be honest, you're not wrong. Like, it's who put out a tweet recently, someone from RT or something like that, and it was like, there isn't enough comics, or there isn't a good enough catalogue of comics in Ireland to do the good work on RTE or something like that. And immediately fucking Twitter blew up, because it's like, I can list out at least 10 Irish comics off my head that will fucking smash this. And it's this, like, what we consider comedy and what they consider comedy are probably two different things. Like, we're the mass audience. We're the mass audience of where, because we're young as well, we can see where comedy is going as well. We can see a kind of vast what comedy is now and where it could go. Meanwhile, they're kind of grasping on a classical form of comedy alone. They're not grasping other straws to see or test new comedy works out. They're just joke format, basic joke format, and something that's PG-13 that'll hit
because even like they banned James Joyce's book. Beckett went away. You had like Fassbender went to London. You had who else is there? Like Father Ted was picked up by Channel 4.
Yeah, like Father Ted was picked up by Channel 4.
Yeah, it's all that stuff. All the biggest successes, they like leave Ireland and then come back.
Yeah, and that happens in every profession in this country. From again sports or like nursing at the moment. Like they're like they have such a high quality of everything. They just don't have enough to facilitate the people that are here. And if they do have enough to facilitate anything, they just, I don't know, it's not in their means. They're not pushed to do it. In a way, like, you know, they're happy. It's like complacency. They're just happy in their complacency that it's enough rather than pushing a boundary. You know, there is a new thing that's come out recently over here. The artists, it's like an artist's pay scheme. So I think it's something like if you're not working, it's like the PUP or something like that. That sort of payment format. Like if you're not working, you're going to be looked after while you create work. Because that's kind of a big problem over here. The cost of living over here anywhere nowadays in this country is, you need a job that's the one thing I found over there. Like trying to create, I had the time scale. I was working two full-time jobs when I was in there. I was working till 12 o'clock at night, writing and trying to do the marketing. And lucky enough, I worked in a school where I remember the posters were delivered to the theatre. So I had all the posters and they were delivered to the theatre. Oh no, they weren't delivered to the theatre. They were delivered to a warehouse, and I had to get them to this theatre at this specific time. And I was like, "Fuck!" And I was working in the school, and lucky enough, I explained the situation, and they're like, "Go on, it'll take you an hour, go for it." And I literally gone up there, got the big astronaut posters and flyers and all that, and I posted them in, set them in, and got a taxi straight back. And you know, like, if you have a community like that understands like what you're doing, like, you're not kind of, people aren't kind of pissing around. Like, we're not rolling around on the ground fucking making bubbles. Like, you're trying to do, you know, you're trying to do something. Like, it is, you know, it's, and like you said with the band fucking Joyce's book and all that. I remember I listened to, was it last week? I listened to Charlotte Regan's podcast, The Irishman Abroad, and he was speaking with Blind Boy. So So I'd listen to that because it's a great conversation. And the two of them are talking about like how they put like Irish artists on a pedestal, but they don't do anything for them, basically. Do you know what I mean? They talk about all this artistry, they fucking plaster them everywhere. They claim to be like the artist culture, and like they try and drag in the American tourists with all this Irishness, like, and all this fucking thing, and then they don't actually do anything really for them.
Yeah, if you look like at the origin stories, it's all like moving away and going away and broadening horizons, and maybe that's been an island as well. But I don't know, like, and even like I went back as far as like studying like the Philly and stuff like that, and the real downfall of all that kind of culture, I guess, was also, I suppose, the colonization of Ireland killed off the patrons of the like. So the kings would have a filly with storyteller and the poet and all that, and then they'd have someone who'd know the Brehon laws, and I think there's something else. But anyway, the kings obviously were like taken out by the Commonwealth, so the filly became the Shenachui, which were the wandering storytellers. And then I don't know when that kind of died off, that kind of culture of the runs, and it kind of died off with the language as well of the runs of the stories and the old folklore that goes with that. And it was all, none of it was written down, all of it was told orally, and that kind of it's still, I suppose, it's still in the culture, but it's almost like, who's going to keep it alive, and where are these stories even? But it's still in the people. Like most of my friends some of them would be better actors, and I'd be back home or like. Yeah,
you do. You kind of think that, don't you? Like, you look at some people and you go, like, you're in the wrong fucking profession here, my friend. Like, you look at them and go, like, you're a character actor. Like, yeah. Or I definitely get them at like, some of them at stand-up comedies and stand-up comedians.
Just like, going and doing it.
Some of them have like such like a tangible fucking grasp of words and how to use words, and it doesn't have to be the most academic of ways, but they just like it's such a grasp of language where like you're doing something that you don't, like the job you do, you don't use words, you use your hands, like, and you could be making you could be doing something with your fucking, with the talent you have there. But again, it's never been, I suppose it's where they've grown up as well, and like in a lower class area or something like that. It's never been pushed. Work rather than try and create.
Yeah, because how did you come into acting? Were you always kind of doing acting, or were you?
No, I was well, when I was a kid I used to do like school plays and stuff like that. And I used to do like in the class in primary school, I used to do like fucking stand-up comedy jokes and
Yeah.
caricatures and all that sort of stuff. Like I remember one day he brought in like, remember Tuck biscuits?
No. Oh, they're
Remember
like.
Tuck? They're like little yellow
Uh,
kind of crackers. They're like yellow
yeah.
crackers
Yeah.
with salt on them. And obviously like I was so Jesus, how old was I? I would have been in primary school. And I done this kind of caricature of a different person from a different country. And then I just started going like the Tuck, and I was going around the classroom, and I had like little pointy things, little sketches, and all that sort of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and I had everyone in the whole school nearly laughing. Like I was going to different classrooms, just opening the door, doing the dance, doing the move, and then going like that, and going up, yeah, and that particular teacher said he'd be great in performing arts,
Yeah.
and I never took it on board. Like I never took it on board, and it was the final year of secondary school, where I wanted to go and get a scholarship to play football. So the idea was like, I think I came up during the recession, and we couldn't do because of the
So you were
recession.
big into football as well.
I played football. I think like boys take the piss like and say like, oh look at him, he thinks he's going to play football for the rest of his life. And no, I wanted to. It was a means for like a way like play like college ball isn't great. Like college soccer is fucking like you play that no problem. Like you know like if you're half decent and a bit of work ethic, you fucking play it. And I thought, grand, I get a scholarship. So I went to get one for an American thing because I wanted to travel. And I got offered into a program. And at the same time, I was playing with Drogheda. And I shot out my knee. Like the whole kind of cartilage in the knee went. And I twisted. Apparently, the doctor said I twisted my shin bone out of place, like a little bit. So, yeah, do you know, I couldn't really do it. Like, I remember when I couldn't walk and the fucking knee was the same size as my head. And I was just like, right, I can't do this, so I need to do something. Like when I was finishing school, I need to go and do a college thing, something, because I can't just work in the bar. I had to be fucking right. So I seen like performing arts. I went into things, so I'll give that a shot, and it kind of just went from there. That was 2010 to 11. I went to do a bit of work in 2012, and then in 2012 I came back, and I knew once I'd done that bit of traveling, you know, people say that gap year and all that sort of people. Once I'd done that bit of traveling, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I said, I better take this. Like this is something that I need to focus in on. So I went back to college, and I just kind of took it from there. I just kind of took it seriously. Went in. Like I remember going into one of the auditions, and it was like they were all doing this kind of. They were given like a certain amount of pieces you could choose from to do the audition with. And I thought, geez, I better be on my game here. Like, and everyone was going in doing like, I think something to do with Brian Friel. It was like the modern plays. I said, fuck it, I'll do it. Which was a classic here. I'll do Shakespeare, you know, a bit of Iago. Yeah. They're all going in, going, giving it talks, and everyone was like laughing, and like they were grand. Like some of them were obviously not really performers, some of them were just trying it out. So they were grand. And then I went up. When I tell you, I done a bit of acting beforehand, like the year before and stuff like that. So I went in and fucking gave it welly, absolute fucking welly. I won. Like I did, like you know, you kind of practice, and you kind of practice at 80%, and sometimes you might hit the 90%. Like I hit fucking 102% here. This thing, the things were going everywhere. No, there was everything, and they just looked at me and went. Everyone in the room just looked at me and went. I went, yeah, and I think, did I fuck that up or not? I haven't a clue, but I'll keep it going. I'll keep it going. I was like, yeah, fuck it. We'll see where we are now. That's
I've exposed too early again.
Yeah. And then they said, yeah, no, you're in. I was like, grand, yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I suppose that in college, that's where I found out where they, right, that's where I found it creative. I thought I was just going to do acting. And to be honest, I love acting. I like getting into creating characters and stuff like that. And working with people. If you get a right bunch of people to work with, it's such a good feeling.
Such a good buzz, man.
In college, I found out like I used to be able to write like little small tidbits and mess around and shit like when I was doing those things. But I found out I could write. Do you know what I mean? Like I found out I had a talent. Okay, if I practice it, I can actually write something here. And I thought to myself. and that was only championed by a couple of tutors in there. I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. Like, and then I wrote like 2 or 3 shows in there in college. Now, some of them, the first one I wrote was probably the biggest. First one I wrote was the biggest one I've ever written, and I've still ever written. It was like fucking, it's like 50 pages. It was like thousands and thousands of words. It was like, it wouldn't have been far off like Astronaut. It was about a homeless guy, but it was a comedy about a homeless guy. It wasn't as dark as Astronaut. Like, it was just him and some woman. Him and a prostitute meet, like, cross paths and become friends, and it's their journey around Dublin, like, and all that sort of stuff. And it's like a lot of it's shite, but there's moments in it where, like, I had this kind of vision where there's a Coldplay song on the XY album or something. It's called XYZ or something like that. One of those colourful albums that has Charlie Brown on it, the album. And there's a song in it, like, it's track 4, and all I could see was that song playing in the background, and your man, to represent the cold, in my head, it's just fucking garden, but to represent the cold of your man dying, I had a bin, like an actual wheelie bin, filled with ice water or ice on the thing. So the audience could actually kind of comprehend the coldness that he was dying to and all that sort of stuff. And I was looking back now, it's probably fucking mad, like, but I was like, oh, hold on here. So I had the ending, and then I wrote the whole fucking show, and it was shite, but still I got it out of my system, and I was able to put, like, it was just something that kind of kickstarted me into something else, which was great.
I was going to ask you there, do you ever feel like, I suppose when you're writing stories or like and scripts and stuff and like coming up with ideas, do you ever feel like they're finding you as opposed to, or like you're uncovering stuff about yourself and it's like the story reveals itself more to you than there's like a duality of you looking for it and it's looking for you at the same kind of time kind of thing?
I think I get that feeling when I start something. So what will happen is I'll usually listen to music, and music will give me an idea, and I'll start writing something. And that's something, that kind of thing where a story will find me when I've started, and it'll be a completely different thing probably. But that's what I'm counting on, is that thing will find me. Do you know what I mean? Because when that thing finds me, that's, you kind of have that kind of drive then, because you just can't stop it then. Do you know, you can stop an idea after fucking a few pages. But when you have that kind of thing that kind of grabs you, you're just like, oh, I can keep doing this. This is something that's just, it's like a flow. You have idea endings before you've even started. You have a middle saying that you could do this, and then suddenly you're just kind of gliding yourself through the whole story.
It's like such an unusual process of like, and even like self-discovery, I think, through the process of like, it's like takes you on a journey. Like it takes me on a journey, and like that's like what you say, like when that starts hitting me, I'm like, oh my god, this is like amazing. Like, such an unreal weird feeling how even like how you come across it and stuff.
How like you that. Do it, and then you realize that, like, I think the good feeling is when you finished, even if it's your first draft, that kind of feeling when you finish things yourself. Like, I remember when this came across me, and now it's fucking done, and you're like, that's fucking dead. Like that's there's a wholesome feeling in that. So many times you get a wholesome feeling, but there's such a wholesome feeling in what you do, and it's like, this is why I do now. It could end up fucking on a shelf, but you know you've done it. You know,
it almost marks a time period of your life as well. But like everything kind of blends into it. It's a specific moment of your time where you were at and everything, and it's all imprinted on this piece of work.
Yeah. You talk about life discovery. Did you go to America with the guys? Was it America?
I went to Boston for 3 months. I went over to my brother back in 2012.
2012. How was that?
Yeah, that's going back in time. And on Swampscott. So I had this is when basically, so I had done, I think it was 5 modules, and it was my second year, and I'd failed one, and I had to repeat that one for a semester. So I had the entire second semester free. So I was like, I'll go over to America, see my brother. And I went over there, and it was just like, I just thought it was mad. Just like, just so much about it. Like, there's definitely so much opportunity. One thing that just struck me is bizarre. It was just the ads on the TV was just about antidepressants, pills. You want this pill, you can't sleep, get this pill. If you need more energy, get this pill. It was just like, whoa. I was like, there was huge cars, stuff like that. I just kind of went smoking weed over there. I was kind of staying away from drink and stuff like that. And I met some cool people, all right, but I don't know. I'd love to try out the West Coast, I think. I don't think the East Coast was kind of, it's very hard nosed, very like strong workers and stuff like that, which is, I respect, but I think I'm more like chilled and more
that's not
easy.
well, that's kind of it. That's where, to be honest, that's what you kind of find a lot of the arts. The artsy people are more out in the West America, like that, because that whole vibe is there, like that kind of mentality is there. There's a different grasp of like, don't. So was it work smarter, not harder? Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Do you know, you're kind of working on
what you
it is though, isn't it? It's like you work.
It is.
Because I know you work on one job that will pay you enough instead of working like 4 part-time jobs that'll just pay the same amount, like that sort of vibe, which is smart. Yeah, I don't know, but like I see a lot of people leaving Los Angeles and stuff like that, going up to Texas.
Okay. For like acting or just in general?
Everyone in general. I see like every kind of, like I see YouTubers going, I see podcasters going, I do see a few actors going. Between that and there's a estate just above Los Angeles. Not Utah or something. It's like it's one of the states just above Los Angeles, but they're moving out of Los Angeles.
Okay. San Diego, San Francisco, somewhere like that.
No, even out of like further out, up like a good chunk up top, like I suppose the price of everything is that could be the drive, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say like, well, Toronto and stuff like that, Vancouver and Toronto now have a big scene, and that seems to be like doing really well, and even like Belfast and like I know there's a lot of filming going on in like Eastern Europe, Hungary and stuff like this, and I think people are trying to just look for cheaper places to do their work. And I was even watching an interview with what's his name? He does Eastbound and Down, Danny McBride. He moved out of LA because he was I suppose he was saying he's kind of turning into more of a writer and creator and stuff like that. And he was like, just LA is just, so if you want to do acting and there's no inspiration for what I'm writing about here. So he just completely moved out of there and was like, just so much better lifestyle. He's like, again, like that thing, he's free time to like, and a better lifestyle to do it. Kind of, I suppose being in LA where it's all just like,
again, chop change on the top. Once you get into a certain point of LA, it's like you're walking into downtown New York.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the plan now for up until you move over?
I'm kind of working on. I'm starting an idea for a play, and I want to test that out. And it's called Mourning to Death. And I'm at the place where I don't really know. I have ideas and stuff like that. I've like 6 pages written, and I want to test out that. But it could go anywhere because it's kind of like stream of consciousness. Every second line is said by an alternating character, and then they have these 2 monologues that intersect line by line, but they're telling 2 different stories at the same time, kind of like. So I want to see where that goes. So I'm testing out a few bits on that. And then go and do acting classes and stuff like that.
Back into it, I think that's acting classes are good. Where would you do it? Where are you going to do them? I usually, when I was over there, I done them at the Actor Centre.
I'd never gone. Yeah, I heard good things about that place. There's a place up in North London that I go to, Lawrence Mitchell, and I just love the vibe because it's just very like exploration. Just bring in whatever you want to work on, and it becomes a lot of like self-discovery about where you're at in your own life, or learning about things about yourself. And then like my friend went to the last day, and he was like, because some people, because it goes quite intense, to be fair. And there was someone who came who was like, so you go to observe to see if it's kind of you up your alley and stuff like that. And there was someone who went and they watched it and they were like, "This is just much." I just and it was just like they couldn't handle it, and they were like, "I don't think I'll do this." They just went out and they were like, "No, this is crazy," because it was like, yeah, it's very much like, yeah, you're going in there holding like no prisoners. You could get opened up to stuff about yourself or anything like that, and I just feel like, yeah, it's quite exciting though, but it's the most intimidating thing I've ever done.
Really? It's just about the what? Because it's strangers or.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think it's because I don't know. It's just because it's like it feels like they're all professional actors, and you're getting up there to show them to do a scene, and then you kind of want to be good, but you also want to go into like, and you have these ideas of what you're going to do, and that, like, the guy Lawrence is going to be very astute to what you're doing, and then I guess it's like, I think it just feels very intimidating, and intimidating because it demands a high quality of work and getting to a certain place. And if it's not at that level, I'll even come out kicking myself, or he'll call me out and stuff. So it's very much like a willingness to open to like the possibilities that what could happen, and just seeing where it goes without closing myself up to any sort. Because there was one time, all right, there 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I'd say it's the angriest I've ever gotten in an acting scene ever.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what to do. And I kind of shut it off because I was like, it was almost too much to, I felt like I would have just lost the plot. I would have just like fucking, I don't know what, like, I didn't know where it was going to, I was like close to seeing complete red. So I kind of just shut it down. So it became an exploration with how do I handle anger, and how can I bring that safely out in a scene using technique rather than just being afraid of something like that. Because I suppose it became very real, and I suppose that's the place where I want to get to in my acting.
Yeah.
But then having the safety and comfort of knowing that, yeah, I can channel these deeper emotions in a safe way that's not going to hurt anyone, or, even, I suppose there's also a part of ego of like showing people that side of myself, which I suppose I'm like, oh, they think I'm completely out of my mind if I show that, or
I suppose
I
always find that, like,
place to be.
If you want to grow as an actor, like, or you want to know how to control such a thing, you have to first hit that thing. Like, so you stopped yourself in the tracks, but you've known that's a level. Now, could you see? You said you could see yourself going even further, so you know that there's a further level there that you can tap into. Now, but you can have your threshold in that. You've understood, like, there's a threshold there. You understand that you can push that boundary and you can learn that. Like, a lot of people, again, some people will just play it safe and they'd kind of phone it in, as they say, where, like, you'll never be able to understand that sort of thing until you hit it. And that's one thing I found as well.
Yeah.
Like, until you find that awkward laugh, or how to indent on language, until you find that kind of sorrow or something, until you've grasped. That's why a lot of people bang on about like method acting consistently. It's just because they're grasping for their own emotional fucking recoil. And once they grasp that, then they can apply it on this thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's like you said, it's like it's a step-by-step process of unlocking these. Because I think everyone has that potential, and I guess everyone has that, but it's about how to navigate that and how to unlock it. And also, like, you reach a certain point and you're like, oh, I've never gone to hit that before, but now I'm aware that I can maybe move it a bit higher and higher and go a bit deeper next time. And then, and you become I remember Sam Rockwell saying, Jedi, when you get to those like points, you hit that flow.
Yeah. Now you jumped there. You did.
Up there, Mike.
So, yeah, man. That was. I don't think I have any other questions to ask you. Is there anyone to ask? Is there anything you need to know, or anything you want to know about Ireland?
Where are you based now? Are you in
I'm in Laytown. I'm Laytown in Dublin. So my girlfriend lives up in Clongriffin. So I'm up and down to her, but we're moving in July to somewhere else in Dublin. Again, depending on how all this goes, I need to sort out a new agent over here. And if I don't do that, I'll test myself abroad somewhere else again. And because you can't get work without an agent, which is pain. Like I can create until the cows come, and I will do that. Like, but
yeah,
especially when I see some of the work that's going as well. Like some of the work you look at and you go like, oh, I'd love to be in like I'd love to be a fucking tea lady on that fucking show. I'll do that, no problem. You know.
Yeah. I might be asking you about that because I'm probably going to be going back looking for an Irish agent as well to try and set me up. I'm going to be back there for a while as well.
I'll give you a list of some good ones back here. All right. Yeah.
It's been good chat.
It's been chatting, man. It's been great chatting with you.